Welcome back to Collaboration Conversations. I'm your co host, Regina Partain Bergman. As anyone who follows our show knows, my co host, Pearl Cox, is unable to be with us right now. And so we have begun doing guest co hosts. And this has been the most fun and rewarding thing that I think I've done for a while. And this time is no different. We have an amazing guest co host, and she has brought with us three of her associates as our panelists, and we're going to have an awesome discussion about collaboration today. So I'd like you to welcome, please, my co-host, Brittany Budd. And Brittany she helps female entrepreneurs to build and scale their online businesses to 6 and 7 figures through social media. Welcome, Brittany. How are you today?
I'm amazing. How are you?
You are amazing. I love that answer. Brittany, would you share with our audience a little bit about your journey, how you've gotten to this place that you're at now, who you serve, and why?
Yeah, so I am a stockbroker and business coach. I live in the East Coast of Canada, and I do like Regina said, I help female entrepreneurs to build and scale their businesses using social media. And I got here from being a stockbroker, being a young woman in the world of finance, which is very typically and obviously older men. I had to really like elbow my way to sit at the table with those gentlemen, lovely, lovely guys. But I just wasn't taken super seriously, and I found that most women that were in those rooms with me also were not taken very seriously, and it really lit a fire and a passion in me to speak to women who want to kind of sit at the table or be at the head of their own table and create the wealth and the freedom that they want to be making and creating a name for themselves. And so I transitioned out of that a few years ago, and I've been coaching and consulting women with online businesses for a few years now and having a great time doing it. And today I brought some of my clients and friends to join us to talk about collaboration and have some fun here with us. So I have brought Kristen Odegaard, and she is a coach. Kristen, why don't you introduce yourself?
All right. Thank you. Yes, Kristen Odegaard. I'm a women's life coach, and I serve primarily women who are overthinkers, high achievers, people pleasers, and perfectionists. And usually that's all one person that has a lot of those tendencies. So I've been in business in this iteration for about a year, and I serve clients one-on-one via Zoom. And I've been working with Brittany for about 2 months now on growing my social media presence and content writing, and it's been a great experience.
Yay, I love that you're here. I also brought my client and friend, Shannon Olson. Shannon, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, yes, good morning. I'm Shannon Olson. I am a spiritual mentor and trauma coach, an angel medium, author, and a crystal and Reiki practitioner. And I am the founder of my business, Vibrations of Light. I am here to awaken, heal, and guide conscious visionary women to really skyrocket their self-worth and transform the way that they see themselves, stepping into that next level version to be empowered, fulfilled, inspired, and most importantly, trusting in themselves and their decisions without second guessing, and having them really tap into that divine power of all of ours so that you can really find and uncover your unique path and purpose. And I stepped into that through my own spiritual awakening and journey, and I've been doing it for a few years now. And I'm just so constantly inspired and motivated by my clients, by, just seeing how deeply powerful this work is and transformational. And I'm just so grateful to be able to serve in this mission and fulfill upon that in my life.
I just love that you're here. Thanks for coming on with us.
Thank you.
Amazing. And finally, I brought my client and friend who's also in the great white north with me, Brittany Patricia. You want to introduce yourself, babe?
Yeah, hello. Okay, so I'm Brittany Patricia. I'm a intuitive business coach, so I help other business owners, typically coaches and or freelancers, to marry their spirituality and intuition with strategy. So I come from I started out with heavy focus on social media and the masculine energy, and also really had it in my heart to focus on the feminine energy. And the magic that I found when I married them up was just, it moved mountains. So I really came to a place where I want to help other people do the same thing. So that's me. That's what I do.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us.
I love it. And thank you, Brittany, for bringing such a great panel of ladies and who are definitely making a difference in the world, I can tell.
They
Uh,
certainly are.
yeah, I love all of your missions. That's amazing. That's awesome. So now, Brittany, you mentioned that these are friends and clients. Do
Yeah.
you, as a group, collaborate in any other ways, or have you done any collaborations together?
I think collaborating is really important, and I think that all of these girls would agree. I love having opportunities like this to bring my clients into these types of things. And I think that as women, it's important that we empower one another. And so I love the containers that I create. Lots of my clients end up hiring each other. And I think that's so beautiful and so important because, you want to hire people and work with people that you know, like, and trust. And so when you can kind of create spaces just like this, where we're getting to know each other and we're sharing our stories and we're forging those bonds, isn't it so nice to just be able to turn around and hire those same people so you don't have to go on a big hunt?
Yes, yes. I love that. I think one of the great parts of collaboration is that consistently looking for, when you meet someone, who do I know that I can introduce them to? Who do I know that can serve them or that they can serve? And, that's just constantly in my thought process whenever I meet someone. Who do I know that would
Yes.
be a great partner for this person in some way, whether they work together or they, whatever that may be, because you never know what the outcome could be, right?
No. And I think that people are constantly on the lookout for certain things. And, they always say your net worth is in your network,
Right?
right? And so especially all of us being on social media, we're in these different groups and we're in these different communities, and we see women who are brave enough and courageous enough to say, hey, I'm looking for help with this thing. And isn't it so beautiful to say, I've got someone for that.
Yes.
Let me
Yes.
connect you.
Yeah. And I think when we come at it from that collaborative space, that's exactly what happens is we say, I know somebody who can help you, as opposed to saying, oh, I don't do that. And it stops right there. Or, oh, let me help you, but maybe that's really not your strength.
Yeah.
Shannon and Chris and Brittany, I see you all nodding. Unmute and share what you're thinking. Kristen, you got
Yeah.
there first.
I absolutely agree. And I think that as Brittany alluded to, for women, that it's especially important as we're trying to forge our way, because there are so many practices out there, whether it's, marketing and social media, that were created, by men and for men, and that might not be what speaks to all women or most of the women. And so finding your group and to help develop your voice and step into that vulnerability and building your confidence and being able to do that in a way that's authentic to you, and having that support of other women who understand has been really valuable for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I think too, because entrepreneurship is very solo, we're solopreneurs. And I put that in air quotes, and Kristen can speak to this because she works with these high achieving women. We all identified with what she does. We all were nodding along. Yep, we're high achieving women. We're a little bit too much in our own heads. It's a lonely road though, too. And as women, because of, the world that we live in, we have a tendency to be mean to each other. And if we're going to sit here on these platforms and position ourselves as leaders where we want other women to follow us, we cannot be bullies. We cannot be mean to each other. We have to collaborate and understand that it's for the greater good, and we don't have to be alone in doing it.
So true. So true. And we do find that in the corporate world, We do tend, I think women do tend to be mean to one another in the corporate world. When I had my staffing firm, I hired mostly women. Every now and then we'd have a male on staff, but most of the time it was women. And one of the first things that I would do is sit them down and say, you were hired because of XYZ, whatever that strength is that they brought. But every other woman on this staff was hired for the strengths that they bring. And so, we just set the stage from the get-go that
Yeah.
there wasn't going to be any of that, and there wasn't going to be any backbiting and then backstabbing or all of that stuff that can go on. That we were a team, and it worked beautifully. We were a team. We didn't have that. And so
Yeah.
for the most part, yeah, it was wonderful. But we spent a lot of time helping everyone understand who the other person was, who they were, and who the other person was, and how that other person functioned and how they functioned differently, so that they could come. Yeah, I think understanding. Would you agree that understanding can bring compassion?
100%.
The relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think you made a really great point talking about corporate because, as these girls were saying, social media was made by men. And so here we are. Entrepreneurship is very manly.
Yes.
And what do we hear from men? Every man for himself. And it's a dog eat dog world and all of these things. And so here we come as women, and these men are going, all right, girls, it's every man for himself. And we're like, okay. But women, we weren't conditioned that way. Like, think of,
No.
You go way back when we were in villages and in tribes and in small communities where we did work together. And it was the women that, we together raised the babies, and we together made the food, and we together washed the clothes in the river and did all these things. And unfortunately, society has really pulled us away from how we as women should be communally.
Yeah. And we have taken on a lot of masculine energy. Sorry, guys, but we're just laying it out there. This is real and live.
We don't hate men. We don't hate men.
Not at all. Not at all. But there are differences. And there's a difference to that energy that we bring. And because we are typically women going to work in a male-dominated world, we have to take on some of those masculine tendencies, that masculine energy, which impacts the way that we communicate and work together. Would you agree, Shannon?
Yes, absolutely. I'm thinking about my own journey in this discussion too, as well, and what a learning curve it was going from corporate, from that mindset of one for one all the time, right? And in stepping into a completely new, not only entrepreneurship, but into a completely new field. To be totally transparent, that was a big learning curve and some deep self-reflection that I had to do because of what I was used to, because of that programming, to get into the space where I felt safe to collaborate, where I saw the advantages and I felt that new energy that I had never felt before. Right. And so this is a great conversation, because it was something that when I first started my business, like, there was a fear there because of that programming from corporate, right? For me personally. And so as I went along and as I did my own, deep self-healing and all of that, like I said, reflection, then I was able to uncover my deeper message and my deeper truth about, hey, this is the road. This is what feels aligned. This is what feels true to me. And so that's how I got, started into my own collaborative projects. And then, of course, realized this amazing benefit and that collective energy and that community space that really just allows us all to flourish and grow.
Shannon, I love that you're here, because Shannon is currently promoting a co-creator novel, a book, where lots of women are coming, and you're still accepting women, right?
I am. Yes, this is a new project that we're just launching. It's called Awakening the Power Within, and I've contributed to my own multi-author books, and now I'm actually collabing with a publisher to produce my own. And so I'm accepting, women who have these transformational stories, right? Where they've gone through that personal transformation, awakening, whatever it feels like, right, in life, where it's like you all of a sudden, see life through different eyes, through different perspectives, as one of my mentors calls it.
I like that.
And I love it. And I'm going to keep saying it, Coach Judy. Thank you
I
for
gotta
that.
write
But
that
it's,
down.
yeah, right. You put on a new set of perspectives and everything changes. And so this is why, like I said, I'm so excited about collaboration and just really allowing us all to benefit and create from that space of sharing and growing together and expanding and feeling safe to do that, knowing that you're supported and there's none of that that old kind of, I guess, programming around if I make it, then then no one else can, not like we can all rise together type of a thing. Yeah, so extremely excited for this conversation, and just it's a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. You made me think. Oh, go ahead, Brittany. Go ahead.
You go ahead. You go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, you made me think of. Yeah, I lost my thought. Real and live, folks.
I'm sorry.
It'll
That's
come
my
back.
fault.
Brittany, go for it.
I think that the reason that those types of books do so well too is exactly what you said, Shannon, about, well, if she can do it, so can I. There's not this like, oh, well, she did it and now no one else can do it. There was only one person ever in the entirety of the universe and of all time who was ever going to do it, and it was her. Like, we so resonate with those types of books because we get to get so many stories, so many perspectives from other women. And the beautiful thing is we think that everything in life is this unique experience and we're these perfect little snowflakes and no one can be like us, but that's just not true. All of our experiences are kind of universal. No matter how weird or obscure, you can usually find a couple of people who are like, oh, I've been through that. And the beautiful thing about these books is that as you're reading it, every woman's different, every story's different, but you can see yourself a little bit in all of them. And that's what's so empowering for these types of collaborative books.
Yeah, I love those collaborative books. What I was going to say, Shannon, is that you made me think about as I introduce more people, as I play that role of connector more and collaborator more and introduce more people to one another, I find that my own self-confidence and my own place in the world gets solidified, gets stronger. As I'm able to connect more people, I feel more confident. Anybody else experience that?
Yeah.
Brittany, Patricia, how about you?
Yeah, I really resonated with that sentence or that statement that you just said, and it made me think about when I was doing I had a Done For You a virtual assistant agency, and I often had people coming and asking for different services that I didn't necessarily offer, and at first felt like I had to figure it out and say, yes, I can do that. I can do that for you. I'll do it. I'll figure it out. When in reality, all I had to do was think about someone else I knew and connect them. And the more I did that, the more confident I got and clear I got on my own services. You get to you're like, okay, I know someone else who can do that for you. I'm going to stick in my own zone where I'm an expert and where I feel comfortable.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Kristen, did you have a comment on that too? I'm sorry, Brittany.
No, that's okay. Go ahead, Kristen.
I don't really have anything to add, as Brittany said it, but that has resonated. And just circling back to, like Brittany said, we get in this scarcity and competitive mode. And so being able to see other women supporting other women in a collaborative mode, some of that fear just naturally dissipates. And with that, then the confidence comes up too. So yeah, I love that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I was just going to say, isn't that so, again, manly of us? Because men will often, with full confidence, you always see that kind of joke of like, I wish I had the confidence of a mediocre white man, right? Where we think, oh, well, even if I don't know, I need to figure it out so people take me seriously. And I think, Brittany, I'd love to hear you kind of elaborate on that, because you are so into the feminine and masculine energies Like, what are your thoughts on us as women stepping into this super masculine role and how it's affecting us?
I think it affects us in ways that we don't even really realize. And it still happens to me where I'll catch myself and I'm like, oh, I'll try to sit in my feminine energy and let things receive and feel good flowing. But in reality, I'm trying so hard to get into that flow that I'm still in masculine energy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that didn't really answer your question, but yeah, I think it just affects us in ways that we don't even realize because we're just kind of defaulted to masculine energy, I think.
Yeah. I think we see it in retrospect, but not in the moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can see it looking back.
Britt, do you have any tips for women who are kind of like, what is this masculine and feminine energy? How do I identify it? How do I know when I'm in it and when I shouldn't be in it?
Yeah. So the difference, I would say the biggest difference between masculine and feminine energy is masculine is very structured, very in line. You need to do this, do it this way, not that way, spreadsheets, whatever, and then feminine energy is more, I say spreadsheets, but I love spreadsheets.
That's the masculine in you. You said it has to be a marriage, right? Like we have to find that balance between the two.
Yeah, exactly. And then feminine is just more of a flow, like I said earlier, and allowing yourself to move in ways that feel good or natural. And then a tip, I think, for either side of energy is just to allow yourself to feel wherever you're at. There's no right or wrong. It's not wrong of you to be in masculine energy. It's not wrong of you to be sitting in feminine. If you have a day where you're trying so hard to be productive, but it's just not working, let yourself sit in whatever that energy you're at so that you can move through it and come back more productive later on.
Wow. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of women get really kind of caught up in that. And then again, going back to Kristen, that's so much of what Kristen does, because as high achieving women, we kind of default to that masculine, I got to do it all myself and let's not collaborate. Let's just figure this out. And we're not going to stop until we've got it done it by ourselves, right?
Yes. Yes. It's the problem solving mode. And with women, there is that, you hear about the invisible load that you carry, whether it's with your family or your household, that you are scheduling and managing. And even if you are not driving the kid someplace, you are planning it and figuring out the logistics. And so there's so much that gets put on our plates, and it's just I think women get into, I just need to keep doing the next thing and doing the next thing, and there isn't even time to drop into your body and experience what am I feeling right now. And so that's a big part of what I do with women, is just identifying feelings even, and what are you thinking about, what's driving these feelings. And then with my practice, we do your thoughts lead to your feelings, which will give you your actions and results. And so when you are a little bit more conscious and intentional with what you're thinking, what you're feeling, you will be able to be more productive, because you're not just spinning, or to be more efficient. And not that that's particularly the goal. It's also to be able to find calm and to find your inner peace and get off of the cycle of just doing and doing and doing. I think women too, Brittany brought up, we had that village and mentality, and that I think that is still there, and a lot of women want it, but they don't have it. Is what I hear, especially from women with careers and families, is that I want this, and lots of people do, but how do I make that happen? And so again, we just get very isolated into, I'm going to figure it out. I'm just going to keep plugging forward. And burnout. It happens from that place, or just the exhaustion. I like to use the word depleted, where you just feel it's beyond being tired. You're just kind of empty, and the need to keep going and not ask for help or support, because then that means, if you're in that masculine energy, then that means you're not good enough if I'm asking for help, or that there's something wrong with me, that I can't handle it and everybody else is doing these things. And so a lot of that conditioning that has just been put upon us, and trying to recognize it and let it go.
Yeah, great point.
That was a big shift for me as well. Just to add on to that, Kristen and Brittany, both Brittany's, everybody, this whole conversation, I'm just like, yeah, just nodding right along. But in terms of like me learning that I could be both energies, and that I had to learn to give myself permission and allow myself to, like Brittany was saying, be in whatever energy I'm in. And so in business, that was a big thing for me, because I thought always structure, always strategy, always planning, always, having this big calendar planned out of things. And if I didn't do that, then I was failing at business. And when really I was just in resistance to that energy in that moment. I needed to be in that flow energy, and I needed to give myself permission to be there. And Brittany Budd, one of the, and I said this before, I'll keep saying this, one comment she had made in one of our group chats was, you should be free in your business. And I was just like, what? Like, it was, I literally, you guys, like, I kid you not, I wrote that on a sticky note and I have it right in my computer, free in my business. I'm like, because it was like, I was always in that resistance of what energy that I was actually in, and fighting against it. And, things weren't working, obviously, because the energy behind it was complete, resistance, and not wanting to, really do what I was doing, but feeling like I needed to, because that's what you do when you're in business and you do all these things. And so when it was like, that statement gave me that, permission to be free in my business. And yeah, if I want to do something, just in feminine flow, here, I'm going to create this program, this course, this whatever, and just throw it out there because that's what feels right. And, that's what's worked for me, is just really honoring where, like Brittany, Patricia was saying, where you're at in that moment, and allowing yourself to be okay being there, right?
Yeah.
If you're not in that structure right in that week, in that day or whatever, that's fine. You need to be somewhere else, clearly. And when you honor that, then you can shift into that more productive, more creative energy on whichever side of the spectrum that is, so much easier, because you are honoring your alignment.
Depending upon your energy that you find yourself in, male or masculine or female, do you find it easier or more natural to collaborate on one side of that spectrum or the other? In other words, when you're in your masculine energy or your feminine energy, is it easier, is it more natural to reach out and collaborate with others in one side or the other of that spectrum? Brittany?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kind of like what I was saying earlier, like the masculine is very every man for himself. It's not every woman for herself. It's every man for himself. And there's a reason that that's a phrase. But as women, like these girls are saying, we crave community. We're supposed to be in a community together. We're supposed to be in a village together. We're better together.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And so, yeah, it looks way different. We're not out in the creek smashing our laundry on rocks and chit-chatting away. Now we're building businesses and raising babies and carrying the invisible load. And so this is how we do it. We collaborate. We come together like this, and we connect.
Absolutely. Well said. Who else would like to add to that?
I don't know that I have anything to add to that, but I just want to say that whatever you just said, Brittany, gave me chills.
Love it.
Going back to like what Shannon had said, it's giving ourselves permission to do that too. That the collaboration aspect is important. A community aspect is important. And instead of, one extreme or the other, either having to do it all by myself or I'm afraid to talk to anybody else or ask for help, but giving yourself that permission and making it a priority in your schedule to allow for it too.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome.
Well said, Kristen, because I don't think a lot of people make it intentional. Right? There's already enough things on our plates.
Yeah.
So just schedule time to go and be collaborative and spend time with other women. Probably not on our list. Taking care of ourselves is never on the list. So I love that you shared, like, schedule that in your day.
Yeah, and if it's not every day, then week or month or something that you're putting in there with people that you're learning from, that you enjoy being with. I mean, somebody that they're gonna fill you up in some way, not a networking event that you dread, but being able to just reconnect in that manner is important for all aspects of your life, whether it's parenting or your career, whether you're an entrepreneur or in corporate, finding those other women to connect with too.
Do you find a difference? You've all come, you've had other positions before you became, your own CEO or the CEO of your own company. Do you find that as you're in the ranks of a business, that feeling of a need of support and collaboration is equal to, less than, or greater than your needs now as the CEO of your own company and doing all the things that you're doing? In other words, is there a difference there? Let me give you an example. I worked at a credit union for a number of years, and I was the assistant manager at the credit union. And I can remember driving home one day saying, it's lonely at the top, because my manager wasn't somebody, I had a male manager. He wasn't somebody I could really discuss some things with, and I didn't feel I could discuss them with my staff. And I didn't have anybody else in that range of friends and support at that time. And I really felt that loneliness. So as the CEO of your company, is it even a greater need for that collaboration? Do you feel that more physically than you did when you were working alongside others in a company? Does that make sense? Does that question make sense?
Yeah, for sure. My first part of my work life, I was a public school teacher, and so very female dominated field, and lots of people in the building. And so when I left that portion of work and went and was working in a much smaller office, and then eventually coming here, but it's like I felt more isolated for sure, and really missed that connection with people in general, but also just with other women who are on the same trajectory as you, whether it's work life or parenting. And there was usually somebody that fit alongside there with you. And so as working on my own in this business, I think initially I needed to kind of give myself permission or hear it from mentors and other things like, no, you need to go find that. And creating a network and finding those people has taken some work and intentionality to be able to foster it. But I have recognized that I really need that, because it can be just so isolating, and not even just the business aspect, but just the social aspect too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think piggybacking off of that is, we're already black sheep as soon as we decide to start our own businesses. All of a sudden, everyone thinks we've lost our minds. No one understands us. Everyone's got an opinion about it. And it's usually negative about how we're not going to make it and we're going to fail and have we actually thought this through. Our friends don't get it. Our parents, our siblings, our spouses, no one seems to get it. And it's so important that we find other women who get it.
I get it.
Yeah.
I agree.
Mhm.
Otherwise, you don't have anyone to talk to because
Yeah.
you want to gripe, or you had a bad day because you're now the weirdo of your real life circles. They're just going to say, well, we told you this was probably a bad idea, so what are you complaining for? And so then you don't have that outlet that we need as women. Like, we need to be able to converse. It's very much in us to have conversations. And as much as we might love our spouses, they often don't get what we're going through.
Exactly.
And if our friends are not CEOs also, they don't get it either. And so we may as well just talk to the wall, right? Because we're not getting the feedback we need in having those conversations unless we have other women in our lives that actually get it and can actually have that kind of collaborative and understanding conversation with us.
Yeah. I agree with that completely. Anybody else have any comments to add to that?
I'll just add that I have been able to connect with some of like the most aligned, valuable connections and people in this journey, in this entrepreneurial journey, in going through that, like Kristen was saying about being intentional in your networking, in your reaching out, and in different collaborative projects, in it, attracting who is in that similar journey as you, and being able to share that space and community and connection, even if it's not related to a specific business project, but just I have so many circles now that we just get together every couple of weeks just to catch up, just to chat, just to be in that space of connectedness, and that camaraderie of that whole thing, I think, is just so important. And I've noticed a big difference in my own well-being and everything, and the energy that I carry in my business because of having those opportunities and those spaces versus just being alone, like you said, alone at the top. And when I started my business, it was a very different, going from that corporate of constantly being around people all day to being by yourself, in this office and, talking to people on the screen once in a while. That's a whole other ball game to wrap your head around. Right. And so in doing all of these, projects and networking and forming these communities and these groups that you can talk to, like as Brittany was saying, right, it's not like your spouse can understand everything about that when they're, in a different space. And so it's just so valuable to have that supportive network and that connection and community, I think there.
I completely agree.
I'm going to quickly interrupt. We lost Brittany Patricia. Her and I are in the Maritimes and we have a big snowstorm. She just sent me a message and said that she lost power. So I don't know if she'll be able to rejoin us or not, but she's getting hammered pretty hard with some snow right now, unfortunately.
Well,
so
we'll give her contact information. When we'll give her contact information for her, we'll make sure that we don't miss out on that. Oh, there she is. She made it back.
Oh, perfect.
Yay. Yay. Welcome back.
Thank you. Sorry about that. I lost power.
That's okay.
I was just letting them know.
Oh my goodness. I live in the Houston area, and frequently if we get some heavy rain, or it's not been as much in the last year or so, I guess, but boy, the year before that, the year and a half before that, it was like if it rained, I could count on losing the power. It's just like, really? I go from the country where I'm living out in in a small town and out in a rural area where I hardly ever lost power, to being in the city and losing power. You take things for granted, that they're going to work, and they don't always. Ladies, this has been wonderful. I appreciate everything that you have contributed to this conversation on collaboration. Let's take a moment and go around and maybe give a wrap-up thought and contact information. And Brittany, if you would spearhead that and manage that round, I'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'd love to. Oh goodness, a thought, just one.
kind of sum it all up.
I think that especially with the way that this conversation ended up going, I think that the big takeaway for anyone that's kind of like just kind of fast forwarding through this conversation, see, okay, what was the main takeaway here is that women need each other very desperately in order to be successful. We need that community. We need the friendships. We need the collaboration. We need that connection in order to become successful. I'm, there's lots to be said about getting to the top on your own, but even climbing Mount Everest, there are guides and there are people
Yeah,
along the way that help you get to the top. You can't get there by yourself, and
exactly.
we need each other. And there's no badge of honor at the end of the day if for you to say that you did it by yourself. It is lonely
Right.
at the top, and we are better together. So
Yeah.
if you don't have that community of women, go find it. Go make it yourself.
Yeah.
Create a community. Start your own networking events. Spearhead it yourself, and get what you need.
Yeah.
We get to do
Absolutely.
it together. And what you wanted me to make a
Contact.
comment? My
Best
contact information.
best place for people to contact you.
The best place for people to contact me, probably Facebook. You can find me, Brittany Lynn Budd, over there. Follow me. I also have a Facebook group called Get Fully Booked to Go Viral and Get Rich with Your Content. I'd love to have you come hang it with me there. You can also find me, Brittany Budd, on Instagram, Queen of Content or the Content Queen. I have a podcast on all major platforms as well. You can pretty much find me anywhere. I'm going to turn it over to Kristen for her final thoughts and her contact info. You're muted.
Perfect. You summed it up so well. So yes, I think that community, that support is so critical. Personally, I like having an in-person group, and then I have online groups. So you've got both, and they bring different aspects and ways of forming community. So it is nice to have a little bit of variety there as well. And for the women that I generally work with that are just feeling like I don't have any time, where would I put this in my schedule? Like that means you really need a coach or mentor even more.
Yeah.
And so you can find me also on Facebook, Kristen Odegaard Coaching. Instagram is the same, Kristen Odegaard Coaching, and my website is coachwithkristen.com. So I would love to see you. I have a Facebook group for women as well, if that's a little bit more community based, if that's something that you're looking for.
I
Awesome.
love it. I'm so glad you came on here with us. Thank you so much. Shannon, let's turn it over to you, my love.
Hello. Yes. Thank you for having me. This has been amazing. Again, I just speaking to the value that I have found in community has been really priceless, and it was something very new to me and a very big kind of shift and really transition that I went through that I'm so grateful for, and in just this whole conversation in the importance of having that mindset of we can support each other. It doesn't mean that we won't be as successful as the next person, and it's getting out of that mindset and that programming and that fear, thinking that, like Brittany had said earlier, if one person did it, then it's impossible for me to do it. And it's in fact, the opposite is true. And when we can really have that supportive community and hold each other to that truth, when we get out of that, because we can get knocked out of that so easily by all these external circumstances and situations and, experiences that we have, when we have that community collaboration to come back to where we're all of that same mindset and all of those same values and principles, then it's so much easier to stay in that, expose yourself to that and really, be mindful of doing that consciously so that you can stay, in that space where you are most creative, where you are most in alignment, where you are feeling at your best. And so again, just thank you for this conversation and this whole, like I said, term of collaboration and community just has brought so much value to my life. And so if you want to find me, I am Shannon Olson on Facebook. I do have a community group called Spiritual Soul Sisters, creating that, again, safe space and community that I found so valuable. And Shannon Leah Olson on Instagram, and my business is called Vibrations of Light, so people can reach out to me pretty much Facebook, Instagram, yeah, and that's what it. But thank you again for having me.
Shannon, you just kind of gave me a visual, and I'm just going to throw this in here before I turn it over to Brittany Patricia. And I think this is so like timely for you, because you do have the Vibrations of Light and all these things. But with the holiday seasons, I immediately thought of while you were talking about when you go to like Sunday night or the Christmas Eve church service, and they always give you a candle, and then they start by lighting one. And the whole church is dark, the whole place is completely dark, and they light one candle, and then you go around and you start lighting each other's candles. And that is what we are doing as women when we collaborate. It's the darkness. I see you putting your hand on your heart, and I know that that's like really, really resonating with you and touching you right now. But that's us, right? We're that one candle in the darkness. And if we don't reach around and light each other's, we can't fill the world with our light. So I had to share that before I moved on to let Brittany talk, because I just thought this is so beautiful. I have to share this.
That's awesome. That's so true.
All right, Brittany, please give us your final thoughts and how we find you.
That is so nice. I love that. Thanks for sharing that. So my final thoughts, I kind of want to piggyback off what you said, Brittany. Well, all of us here, whatever everyone said, but I also this entire time kept coming back to it's safe. We need to remind each other that it's safe for us to collaborate. Yeah. It's safe for us to ask for help, to want that help, to crave that community. And I think that's something that's missed a lot in the online space too. Yeah. Is just reminding each other that we're safe, and reminding ourselves that we're safe, So yeah, those are my final thoughts. And you can find me on Facebook as Brittany Patricia, on Instagram as Brittany Patricia Co. I also have a small community on Facebook that's called Soulful Spiritual Entrepreneurs, and it's a place for other entrepreneurs to come collaborate, lift each other up, find clients, share ideas, all of those fun things.
Awesome.
Brittany,
thank you again so much for bringing this beautiful group of ladies together and for being our guest co-host today. This has been a pleasure, ladies, to meet each of you and share this time with you.
Thank you for having me and letting me bring these beautiful women. It was so much fun.
Good.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
And with that, folks, we're going to say goodbye until next time. Join us again next time on Collaboration Conversations. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you.